In this video, we're gonna give you a 1,000 mile update on one of the most popular cargo electric bikes, the Lectric Xpedition.
And you can also see behind us, we have both of these bikes outfitted completely differently. Ryan and I are gonna go through and talk about the accessories we have found essential for our daily riding, as well as stay tuned till the end where we're gonna have a little tip section on how Ryan and I have found the best and safest way to get our kids on and off the Xpedition. So let's get into it.
One quick favor before we get started, if you're looking to purchase any electric bike, help support content like this for free by using our affiliate link down in the description before you make your purchase. Thank you so much for your support. All right, we're gonna dive deep in this bike. First, pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. I think this first one is going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah, if you're following any electric bike out there, you're gonna know it's gonna be price. So the Lectric Xpedition comes in 2 price variations associated with the amount of batteries that you get. So both models seen here are the dual battery options. Those come in at $16.99. And if that's not quite in the budget for you, you can also step down to a single battery option at $13.99. Now be sure to check the link in the description below for the most up-to-date pricing, as well as Lectric may give you a little bit of a head start in accessorizing your Xpedition because they're always running a little bit of sales where they include some free accessories. My next pro is gonna be 3 of the main components that make up the drive system of this bike and are gonna be the main reasons that I switched from my Flyer electric bike to the Lectric Xpedition. Starting in the rear, we have a 1310 watt peak rear motor. Then we have dual batteries, and those are gonna be 28 amp hours of battery power, which is almost double what we typically see from a bike at this price point. And then you have the Lectric current-based PWR power delivery system, which is gonna be more current-based, meaning that you'll be able to extend that range by only using current and not being speed limited.
I really like the wheelbase. I think it's perfect on the Lectric Xpedition. It's still a long-tail cargo electric bike, which gives you more capacity. However, it still fits on our rear rack on our vehicle, and that's important for us because we tend to travel a lot. To go along with that, assembly, Lectric truly believes that it's not the customer's responsibility to assemble their electric bike. So this comes virtually fully assembled to your door. Part of that is due to the foldable handlebars, but also a couple of my other favorite features are gonna be these quick release pedals. Again, you don't even need to screw them on. These are also handy in case you're loading your bike to get the pedals out of the way from perhaps another e-bike. And I don't have them on my bike, but I also really like that the floorboards are completely removable, so they're there when you need them, and you can just simply pull them off when you don't.
The next pro that Ryan and I both like is gonna be the adjustability that you get from the Xpedition, meaning that either Ryan and I can ride the same bike, or in our case, our wives can jump on and off our bikes. You have a telescoping seat post, which allows you to really get some extra height. I mean, you can just look at where my seat is set versus Ryan's over there. But then as well as you can actually adjust the cockpit via this quick adjustment here. You simply push up on here, do this, and you can pull up and down on the handlebars and actually change the angle of them to really put you in a nice, comfortable position. While we're also talking about the cockpit, we have to talk about my next pro, and it's gonna be hydraulic disc brakes. Until the Lectric Xpedition, it wasn't common to see these on all cargo electric bikes, so this was something that Ryan and I were super happy to see from the standpoint of safety and be able to get your cargo and everything slowed down as quickly as possible.
And another thing I really like about electric e-bikes generally is the ability to customize them. So this bike comes as a Class 2 electric bike, top speed of 20 miles per hour, whether you're pedaling or using the throttle. You can override it to go up to 28 miles per hour while pedaling. It's nice to have that option. And there's also a bunch of other settings in the display. And for those tinkerers, you might want to check out the P22 setting, which allows you to change how the pedal assist level 1 and 2 perform, not capping the top speed. Next, from our perspective, Lectric has some of the best customer support, and that is really important for a direct-to-consumer brand. We commonly see comments on all of our videos how happy people are with support when they need it.
And in relation to the comments as well, we've also heard directly from Lectric that they get a lot of their criticism and advice from the comment section down below. So if you have any gripes or complaints about the Xpedition, be sure to let us know in the comment section down below.
And trust me, after reviewing hundreds of electric bikes, no electric bike is perfect. Let's get into our cons. We're gonna get pretty nitpicky here, but all of these cons need to be taken in the context that this is the best spec, affordable cargo electric bike on the market. My first con is going to be right here by this Thule seat. I cannot charge the rear battery when the Thule seat is installed, so I have to remove the seat and then plug it in. Next, also with the batteries, they aren't keyed the same, even if you buy the dual battery version. I hope someday I can just have the same keys to remove both of those batteries on the next generation.
And then my con related to the dual battery is going to be that the Lectric Xpedition only comes with a single charger. So if you're going to be charging up your batteries, you have to charge them up independently or look into purchasing an additional charger.
All right, JT, tell me about your cons at the rear of the bike.
One con in the rear here has to be caveated via the price, which is going to be the turning rear derailleur. It is the most entry-level Shimano component. Ryan and I have both not had any problems out of it, but it is noted that it is one of the lowest end Shimano derailleurs. Another con that we have back here is going to be the motor. And I don't know if that is going to show up well on camera, but the noise that the rear motor makes when it is putting down that power is something that Ryan and I have noted is quite a bit louder than some other cargo electric bikes that we've ridden.
But good news, the brand new Xpeak, their fat tire electric bike that we reviewed, that you can check out in the top right-hand corner of your screen, they've completely re-engineered the motor noise, and it is 400% quieter, and I can't wait for that motor to make it on the next generation Xpedition. This is probably the biggest one for me. I would have liked to see a more robust kickstand. It's the simple metal kickstand, and even more, JT and I have both experienced it loosening up over time, so we've had to tighten it, so it might be a good idea to put some Loctite on that kickstand to keep it from coming loose. And just generally, kickstands are such an important part of cargo electric bikes, especially when you're loading precious cargo like we are. Speaking of cargo, this is the Orbiter. We're gonna talk a little bit more about this. I would have liked to see it as a double handrail, so then your kids have something to hold on to, and then there's also protection around them. That's how many other brands have designed their rear child cage, Orbiter, whatever you wanna call it.
The other con I have, which is also gonna be related to when you load cargo into the rear, is gonna be the lack of any sort of deflapilator or anything to keep this rear wheel straight. When you have weight going in the back, it picks up the front end, and that front wheel will get light and can turn. And my next con is also up here in the front, is gonna be a lack of a suspension front fork.
Though I'm glad they didn't decide to just put a cheap suspension fork, because then it doesn't help much and just adds weight. And of course, a quality suspension fork is going to add significant cost, though it would be awesome if they offered it as an option. Now that we've talked about the pros and cons, let's talk about how JT and I have outfitted our Xpeditions. There will be a link down in the description to a blog post which will list every single product. And if you make a purchase, it also helps support us. Thanks in advance. Well, JT and I have some similarities on both these electric bikes. We still have unique needs because our kids are different. Let's start in the front of my bike here. We have the front rack. This actually comes with the cargo package. You get the front rack with a small basket as well as a large basket, but we're actually using the Dairyman that's for sale at shop.ebikeescape.com because it's easy to remove with these straps, and that's handy to bring it inside, or more commonly when we're transporting this bike. You can get a liner like we have here, or you can put your favorite furry friend in the front. Maybe you're overloading it, you can get a bungee. So that's the front of the bike. Jumping to the cockpit, we have bar end mirrors. These are also for sale at shop.ebikeescape.com. I prefer bar end because the handlebar ones can sometimes show your hands, and then it's a little bit more difficult to see what's behind you. We also have our favorite grips. These are the Ergon GP1 grips. They're locking, so they're not going anywhere. Next, we have my favorite horn. This is the Hornet DB 140 super loud to get motorists' attention. Quite loud. And then we have the cell phone mount. This is the Elasto case. This is the quick release one. So you can simply pop it off your handlebars. My phone is massive and it fits on here just fine, and you can cinch it into place. Since we're up here, let's talk about the Xnito helmet. What I like about this helmet, it's very comfortable, but it also has front and rear lights that are flashing. And this helmet is one of the safest helmets because it has the NTA 8776 certification. These are also available in our own shop. Moving down from there, we have the lock that I've been using pretty much since I started the channel. This is the Abus Bordeaux Big Alarm. So it has a built-in alarm, but it's also a folding lock, which means it mounts really nicely to the frame. And because it is quite long, it allows you flexibility for lockup. High quality, but also pretty expensive. Next, we have an accessory that I personally think everyone should own, and this is the ABC cage that you can pick up at our own shop. And what's great about it, has a clamping system, so it fits large bottles all the way up to wine bottles if you want to. It's also sold in a strap mount as well as a bracket mount in case you want to put it on your handlebars. Something I don't have installed, but I do recommend, is a suspension seat post, a quality one that I'll make sure is linked in our blog post. You may also need to purchase a separate shim to make sure the suspension seat post works with the Lectric Xpedition seat tube opening. This isn't quite how we always have this bike set up. Usually we have two Thule seats, but we also wanted to showcase the +1 seat. But what's nice about these Thule seats, they simply fit into the windows in the rear, and even our 4-year-old still fits in this. And yes, JT's gonna show you the Orbiter. The reason we don't have this currently installed is because this was recently on a trip with us. And again, the Orbiter interferes with a second electric bike on our vehicle. But otherwise, we do use the Orbiter. And also for transport, you might want to consider one of our battery bags. This is the small version. You'll want to pick up the large version to fit the large electric batteries. What's nice is this bag is completely waterproof and flame resistant. You simply put the battery in and roll it up. Great for transportation and safe storage of any e-bike battery. We're also tracking compatibility on the product page, so you can check that out as well. Speaking of batteries, I need to give credit to JT for this one. This is a simple timer. Now, it's not a smart timer. You can use those as well. But what I really like about this one is it's dead simple. Simply plug it into your outlet, plug the battery in here. Say you need to charge your battery up from about empty, simply hit the 6-hour button, and then you don't need to worry about turning it off. Though you do want to keep an eye on your battery. They shouldn't be left unattended. This thing has been a game changer for me charging up lots of electric bikes. All right, JT, we need to get to your Expedition. Let's see how you have it outfitted.
So my use case for the bike is a little bit different. My bike kind of takes place of a school bus, so I'm simply riding my kids to and from school. We're not really leaving it locked up in any public places, so you won't find locks and things like that on my bike. I also do a little bit more riding at higher speeds than Ryan does, as I'm out in the country and I have to ride into town on some 45, 50 mile an hour roads. So starting up here in the front, I have what I call the backpack carrier, which is gonna be the electric front basket that I threw this bungee cord on to throw backpacks and things in. This is the same front rack that is on Ryan's bike. You will notice that I am missing the front headlight mounted on the front of the basket, and that is because I opted to use a kryptonite flashing front headlight for extra visibility to passing motorists. And I have the matching kryptonite rear flashing tail light as well, mounted on the back of the Orbiter, nice and high, provides that, again, a little bit of extra visibility. And then very similar to Ryan, I also opt for a bar end mirror. Until recently, I was using the Miracle mirror, but I wanted something a little bit larger, as well as I was tired of that getting knocked out of place. This has Allen keys everywhere that really locks in the direction, so you get it set once and you can kind of forget it. Simplicity is key in my mind for jumping on and off your electric bike. And then also up here in the cockpit, I have the bike case clamping phone mount. My phone is a little bit smaller than Ryan's, so I can simply put it in and twist this lever up, and my phone is now locked into place. I agree with Ryan when he was talking about your bottle cage. This is the one that everyone should have. I have my coffee cup in here, simple twist. This is the Sidewinder version. Now you will also notice that in my frame space here, I have what we lovingly refer to as the Dorito bag. This is a new accessory from Lectric. I like that it's got some nice little pockets, as well as it has room for all of my roadside repair kit. If you will notice in here, I have my Top Peak pocket ratchet, as well as my handlebar jack roll-up bag, which has not only handlebar jacks in it, but as well as a spare tube for in case I get a flat while I'm out on the road, and I can make sure to make that school drop-off time. Now onto the rear of the bike. This is where the big differences between Ryan and I's bikes are gonna be. Ryan's kids are a little bit smaller, my kids are a little bit older, so I opted for just the simple Orbiter here, which your kids just simply sit on these nice pads that are easy to add and remove. I also have this nice little pouch up here for the kids to put their snacks and other things in as well. Gives them a place to also keep some of their treasures that they find if we ever make our way to a park. And one other item that pairs very nicely with the Orbiter are gonna be these footboards. These footboards are gonna give your kids nice places to put their feet while they're out riding, kind of keep them away, as well as the Xpedition does come with these nice guards pre-installed, so you do not have to do that yourself. Now, when you're not hauling kids and you wanna leave your bike outfitted like this, Lectric has a couple other accessories that I found myself using. First one's gonna be this newly released Orbiter bag, which fits nicely inside of the Orbiter. Obviously, it doesn't have room for kids, but you use all these buckles to clamp it all around. Also tucked in here nicely are these backpack straps. So if you wanna use this as a backpack or a larger travel bag, you can simply utilize those. And one other nice cargo addition that Lectric has in the same quality as we saw with this bag are gonna be these pannier bags. They simply Velcro strap and mount onto here. They really have some nice rigid sidewalls, as well as they rest on the footboard as well to give you some extra support there on the bottom. Simply mounts right there. So if you're not carrying kids and you want to carry a little bit extra cargo, these two items are going to be great options for you.
Before we start, I should mention that most brands simply don't recommend loading cargo with the kickstand deployed, though in practice, that's not really realistic because, as you'll see in a little bit, getting a kid strapped into a child seat, you need both hands. So what we like to do, not saying I recommend that you do it, you should follow what the manufacturer recommends. I'm just gonna hold the bike and we're gonna have Lenny hop on the bike here. All right, so Lenny's gonna hop on first. We'll get your helmet on in a second, Lenny. Can you slide in? All right, and I'll just keep the bike stable. And Lenny is almost 4 years old. Put his helmet on. And so at this point, what I would do if I was taking him for a ride, I'd put my foot in front of the kickstand and rock it forward. And you always want two hands on the bike. That's going to help keep it stable. And then we can take off. I'll show you how I put the bike on its kickstand. Simply push down and rock it towards the rear. And then I'm just gonna grab Lenny out of here. All right, so with the Tully Up Maxi seat, you can imagine if the kickstand was down and I was trying to help him get in here, that would be extremely difficult. So I'll grab Lenny here, put him in place, and you just never want to walk away from the bike. Of course, if kids are moving around, there's the potential tipping hazard. And certainly when you're loading two kids, as I commonly am, you want to be careful. So snap them into place. Lenny usually likes riding in the back, don't you? Get his feet strapped in, and again, you're good to go. Rock the bike forward, and you can go on a ride. So the kickstand should not be relied on for heavy weight, though in my opinion, it is necessary when you are loading cargo. You just have to be extremely careful because this is a heavy bike. You have two batteries, a motor, all the weight's towards the rear, and then if you put kids on top of that, you can imagine that the front end has a lot less weight than the rear. That's how we load our kids on the Lectric Xpeditions. Remember to use the links down in the description if you plan to purchase any electric e-bike. Thank you so much for your support. Also, the blog post with all the awesome accessories that we featured today. I hope you have as much fun as we do on our Lectric Xpeditions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.